Sheena Ringo. We are back with the Japanese singing legend to check out another one of her singles. I promise I'm going to get into the track by track listen throughs to her albums. After I've maybe taken in a couple more singles, really got a bit more of a feeling for the broader picture of her career, which, as I've mentioned before, I've heard so much about and I've heard little snippets of. But yeah, we're really getting to know her better through her songs. I have my coffee because the air is very dry here. So apologies that I'm going to keep on taking sips. I'm trying not to get it in my moustache. But look, why are we going for this song in particular today? Well, you guys might remember that I've been going through her YouTube page, sticking it onto popular, and then just scrolling down to get a little idea. And, you know, trying to find stuff in the middle seems to be the goal at the moment. And, well, this song came up. We've checked out some songs from the beginning of her career, from 2009 with Vogue. We've checked out songs from just kind of like a few periods now. But this song came out 6 years ago. And yeah, I was thinking Kohen no Komitsu, I think is that how you pronounce the name. This is basically a song that seems to be relatively recent. I think that the information on the video said it came out in 2019, yeah, November 2019. So let's give it a little bit of a listen, see if we get a feeling for a different side of her career. This is 20 million views on this. As mentioned, I'll probably do this and maybe a couple more singles, and then I'm going to start jumping into the album tracks. I'm thinking at the moment that I'm going to go for really maybe start with the debut album. A lot of people said they wanted me to listen to the first 2 or 3 albums, so I thought, well, do you know what, let's go back to the very first album, maybe start from there, do a track by track listen through. So that's my current intention, but let me know what you think. Anyway, let's check out this song first of all, because as mentioned before I start going all the way back and listening to the track by tracks of all of the albums in depth, I still feel like I want to get a slightly more broad idea of who Sheena Ringo's, well, what Sheena Ringo's music actually is if you listen to it properly. Oh, and one more thing. Yes, Sheena Ringo, Ringo Sheena. I know the whole Japanese naming thing. I've lived in Japan for long enough to know that. However, I will say that I always say the name the way that it is written by the artist. And so, you know, how she writes it is how I'm going to say it. So just put that forward. Anyway, let's check it out. This is, 3.5 minutes of who knows what. Because it could be anything from her. Okay, this is definitely going in the jazzier direction. Is that R17? I think that's R17. That's R17. Sorry, I know where this is recorded. Love that bass sound. I'm definitely getting the more European jazz feel that I will admit I read a little bit in between this and the last reaction, and I heard that she's been inspired a bit by that recently. You know the string arrangement, very nice. Ooh, that's a nice development. Why do I feel like I recognise one of the dancers? Or am I supposed to feel like I recognise one of the dancers? Yeah, she's giving me a bit of a Koda Kumi vibe. One of the dancers, I don't know why. Okay, that was jazzy. That was very, very lively, very fun, very jazzy. Is it? Dancers? Oh no, okay. It's just sorry for accident. Oh, so the choreographer was also the dancer. Okay, my apologies for describing anyone as being Koda Kumi against. Just like something about her look. I don't know what it was, but so having a look through here. Okay, we got right. Okay, so these are all people from other projects, which makes sense because of course Sheena Ringo is known for having such a good sort of wide connection of people who she works with. That's ironically one of the things that I have known for a long time, even before really getting into her music. Yeah, so there's a lot of people on there. Again, though, this is one of the things that seems to be very much a key factor in this more recent era of her career, is that she seems to be going very much for this jazzy live feeling that is, you know, kind of all about bringing on top flight musicians, really good quality musicians. I wonder how much of that was inspired from doing Tokyo Jihen, because Tokyo Jihen was a project that, if I remember correctly, again, following what you guys had told me, was in like the late 2000s. She started Tokyo Jihen, and because that project is almost defined by the jazzy qualities, all of the fantastic musicianship that the members show off there. So I'm wondering if just ever since that era, she's become more and more addicted to having those kind of elements in her songs. And again, we saw that with the most recent song we checked out. That one had, I had one of the. Did it have one of the members of Tokyo Jihen in it? I think it did, didn't it? But anyway, so yeah, I'm sorry. Now I'm just sort of speculating on things that I probably should know and that you guys almost certainly do know. So apologies about the waffle there. But it does seem that this is something that's increasingly become an aspect in her career. When it comes to this song, I've got to be honest. This song fits into a territory where purely I found it incredibly engaging, incredibly enjoyable. I would definitely just be able to jam out to this anytime it came on. It's one of those songs that has so much musically going on, is so active and yet at the same time so classy that you can't help but just start tapping your foot and enjoying it and sort of bouncing along to it. That aspect I really liked about it. I think that the whole sound was gorgeously recorded. I mentioned about the bass, but I mean the bass was very notable. I think the bass is always noticeable because it's the kind of core thing that holds together the rhythm and the melody of a song. So when it's really active, as it tends to be in jazzy songs, but when it's also got this full body sound that we got here, where you can really kind of hear the strings bouncing, you know, nice proper double bass sound there, it's something that is going to grab you. It's going to really engage you. And I think that here, all of the sounds, the bass obviously is the one I'm pointing out at the moment, but you know, really all of the sounds were very much on point. You know, the brass punches through a lot as well. You're hearing these trombones really give a lot of effect, but I also was starting to really pick up on the long string sounds and just kind of how crisp everything works. I mean, it takes that standard arrangement, you know, the bass underneath everything, kind of giving that kinetic movement to the lower end of a song, the brass giving you the punchy bits, the string giving you the longer sort of more emotionally intense kind of sounds. You've got all of that working together, but it's just so well encapsulated. Yes, it's all normal stuff, you know, it's what you'd expect, and yet it's so beautifully delivered here. So for me, this is a song that just feels like a bunch of really talented musicians and a really talented vocalist and a songwriter just working together to just do something that sounds like, for them, it's almost second nature. And yet it does just obviously as a result give you this really rewarding song. Now, of course, the flip side of that, and you know, I'm always honest in these reviews, I've got to be honest, this is one of those songs where as much as I enjoyed it while it's on, and I think I would enjoy it any time that it came on, it's not the kind of song that I think would necessarily stick in my memory as a, oh my god, that's a song I have to come back to kind of thing. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of songs like this. You know, this is one of those ones that fits into the territory of being, it's such a well-known formula. It's, you know, the using strings, brass, bass, and all of these things are such a well-known formula that, yeah, this would fit nicely in a playlist, but I wouldn't say it's exactly one of those songs where I go, oh my god, that's like it's a quintessential example of this genre. It's more just like I really enjoyed that because I like that sound already. kind of thing. And my understanding, again, I say this as someone who's just been reading some Wikipedia articles, is that in the later points in her career, as I think I'd already kind of started to extrapolate already, it seems that Sheena Ringo has lent into using more jazzy aspects. Again, that seems pretty obvious, but it seems that she was very much inspired by European jazz, from what I read, which I guess makes sense. But like there were some references to like French jazz and things, and that again, I always wonder with this kind of thing because I've spent so much. Well, I mean, I say spent time. I've been in Japan for so long that it's kind of true that for me now, if I listen to Western music, that actually, just being honest, it sounds more foreign to me now because Japanese music is all I've consumed for, even before I kind of came out to Japan. Like, for really since I was like about 18 years old, pretty much everything I've consumed has been Japanese music. So when I think about a lot of these styles of music, these more sort of European style of jazz, assuming that this is correct at all, that this is what she was inspired by at all, that's more what I grew up with. But to me, it does now feel like something where it's like, okay, that is kind of like an exotic foreign thing. And I wonder whether to Sheena Ringo, that's something where it feels very exotic. And I can understand wanting to dabble with that in the same way that someone who grew up where I did in the West would probably find, Japanese music or traditional Japanese music, or even things like enka, something like that, and think, oh, that's actually quite an exotic sound. So I wonder how much of that has really inspired her, whether for her it's kind of a way to break out and almost kind of have a cosmopolitan view of music, which I really do respect. I think that's a fantastic way of looking at the world, but obviously it's going to then impact different people differently. So for me, although I listen to this and I think, okay, it's cool, but it's a sound that feels very much like, okay, I think there's a lot of this in the world already. I think for her, it probably was something where it was very exciting and different and exotic, and I can see why this has become something that she's really lent into in this part of her career. Because if you think about it, I mean, again, I don't want to downplay how interesting this style of music is. It's just that it's a very, jazzy kind of music. Is a very big market of music. There is a lot there. And I wonder what her comments on this, what her inspiration, why she was inspired by this type of music, beyond the obvious fact that it just sounds freaking awesome. But I'm really interested to know what sort of got her into this, because when she does this, I'll go back to my earlier comment that it just sounds like second nature. She sounds so, and I know that she's writing this, and I believe she's arranging it as well. It just sounds like second nature to her, It sounds like something that she does so naturally that, in a way, although when I listen to this, I think, okay, it's a genre of which there is a lot of examples of this type of music. I still kind of think, well, it's amazing how natural it sounds to her, because you go back to songs like Gips, and that is just like this pop rock song with like a really, again, a bit of a Western feel to it, but it is a song that quintessentially has all the qualities of the Japanese pop rock style. It's nice, it's got like variation and emotion, and it's so different from this. Now, a lot of time has passed between the two, but it's so different from this that it really kind of makes you think about, wow, that's it's like two totally different things that she sounds totally at home in. And weirdly enough, though, with that all being said, that is kind of the quality that I would associate with anyone who's kind of a legendary singer, a legendary singer-songwriter. To kind of get to that level, you need to be good at more than one thing. I think that if you're legendary for only ever doing one style of music, to me that's not quite legendary. Maybe you're legendary within like your niche, that's fine. But I think the truly artists who are kind of remembered forever, it's the ones who can kind of go outside of what they just, that one style, and they can do different things. So anyway, I've already given a bit of a rambling explanation. Again, a lot of this is because I'm kind of hypothesizing and thinking out loud. But realistically, I'm just kind of intrigued. This song itself, yes, it's not a song that I would come back to regularly on its own. It's not a song where I'd go, oh, that's a song I specifically want to listen to on its own. However, it's very interesting for giving me an insight into just how natural she seems with this style of music, how at home she seems with this style of music. And unsurprisingly, given that it seems to have been not the primary perhaps, but a key element in this part in her career, So anyway, I feel like I'm more opening the door for you guys to give me some bits of information. It's been really cool seeing all the wonderful feedback from so many people that have been very open about telling me these things. Again, I'm not totally without knowledge on her. I have like very broad, low resolution knowledge, but it is really interesting now to just sort of grapple with her songs just like one on one, listen to a song, think about each one, and really sort of talk about her music like this. It's been very interesting, very informative, and again, I'm really looking forward to seeing your comments. As mentioned, I will get into the track by tracks of the albums. I think I am just going to go straight to the debut album. That's how I'm feeling. I'll probably do the first three and then see how I feel. Probably by then, I might would have been converted to the point of just carrying on and going through all of them. That's what I've been doing with artists like Mrs. Green Apple, Yorushka. I've been doing that with as well. There's a few artists like this because, again, I've been following Japanese music in such a full-on way, but there's certain artists who just have escaped me. Certain artists who I've just, I feel like, when you speak to an American person and it's like, yeah, I've never seen Star Wars. Don't worry, I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Oh God, I shouldn't have said that. There's loads of Star Wars fans. I'd be angry now. But I'm kind of like that person. It's like, well, hi, Howard, how do you not have better knowledge of Sheena Ringo? Well, that's what we're putting right now. Anyway, there you go. Those are my thoughts. Sorry, this was more like a rambling set of ideas, but this really gave me a lot of things to think about that maybe went above and beyond the song. So let me know what you think. As always, get in the comments, tell me, and until I hopefully see you very soon in the next one, which I've already lined up, by the way. Till I see you in that one. For now, ciao, ciao.